Turn it up, turn it up. Clicks to riches. Clicks to riches. Clicks to riches. Clicks to riches. Turn it up, turn it up. Clicks to riches.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Clicks to Riches show, streaming live on Printify's YouTube channel. I'm your host, Martin, and joining me as always is the ever-enthusiastic Leah.
Hey Martin, hello everyone.
Tonight, we're shining a spotlight on the incredible women entrepreneurs in the print-on-demand industry. These trailblazers are not just breaking the glass ceiling, they're redesigning it with custom graphics and selling it online.
Absolutely, and speaking of trailblazers, our guest tonight is the phenomenal Mandy Dobosenski. She'll share her inspiring journey from startup struggles to POD success.
But that's not all. We'll also connect you with some of the top female influencers we collaborate with at Printify. These are the voices you need to hear, the mentors you didn't know you needed, and the friends who will guide you along on your entrepreneurial journey.
Plus, we've got the latest breaking news in the world of POD, insights into trending products and keywords, and of course, the freshest updates from Printify. And not to mention, we have a ton of prizes to give away.
And Leah, speaking of trends, did you know that the print-on-demand industry is a female-dominated space? That's right. More women than men choose POD as an avenue for their financial freedom. So forget diamonds, it seems custom t-shirts are a girl's new best friend.
Spot on, Martin. With the global print-on-demand market projected to reach over $39 billion by 2031, women aren't just joining the POD game, they're leading it and shipping it out in 3 to 5 business days.
So whether you're a seasoned seller or just starting out, this episode is packed with insights, with inspiration, and a whole lot of fun.
Stay tuned, everyone, because you won't want to miss what's coming up next on the Clicks to Riches show.
That's right. We are on the precipice of International Women's Day. It's just right around the corner, and I'm super excited to be featuring this topic on today's episode because it's something that's near and dear to me because I grew up in a house full of women. It was just my mom and my sister, and I live today in a house full of women with my wife and my 2 daughters. So the fact that we're able to highlight this for you folks out there makes me super, super excited. So, Leah, you're a lady, aren't you?
I'm a woman, yes.
That's right. So what is it you think about POD that is so attractive to women?
That's an interesting question, and the first thing that initially came to my mind, and maybe just because it's something for me as well, I think I'm more drawn to like the creative aspect of it. You know, you really get to get your hands dirty in different design software and have fun with trends and different aesthetics.
Yeah, plus it's always fun to make a little bit extra money, which is something everybody can agree on, men, women, or otherwise. So super excited we get to kick off today's episode. So why don't we take a look at the chat and give some shout outs to our folks out there?
Yes, we have a very active chat as always from the beginning. We love that. We have Mr. Pinky from Tucson, Arizona. Hello. We have Deborah from Mobile, Alabama. Kimmy from Farmer City, Illinois. Hello, Kimmy. Mount Vernon, Ohio, we have Melanie. We have Let's Be Artful from Nevada. Hello. We have Real Estate Photography from Florida. We've got so many people here. I did see someone, it's their first time. Where did they go? From Carlton, Texas, new to the channel. Welcome.
And we've got South Africa, Canada checking in. It's an international affair here at the Clicks to Riches show. We're going to have a lot of fun. And speaking of that chat, we're going to be covering a lot of topics today, and we're going to have a dedicated Q&A session with our guest, Mandy Dobosenski, here in a little bit. But as those questions come in, no need to hang on to them and put them all in all at once at the Q&A portion. So just go ahead and pop those in when they come up, and our moderator, Talish, will collect those, and we'd be happy to address those a little bit later in the show. And we love to give away prizes. So I hope you guys are interested in putting a little extra coin in your pocket, because at 3 points in today's show, I'm going to put the brakes on and announce a coupon code. So you folks can put that into your Printify account, and the 3 of you that type it in the quickest will receive an instant $15 of Printify sales credit placed directly into your Printify account.
And you can win more than once. You can win all 3 of those prizes, so get
Exactly.
your fingers ready.
No limit on how many prizes you can win. Plus, if you stick around until the end, we'll pop in a link to our post-show survey where 3 of you will be selected at random to win our grand prize, which is $50 of Printify sales credit and a super awesome Clicks to Riches t-shirt, not unlike the one that Leah and I are wearing today. So stick around for that. But we've got a lot of stuff to cover, and you're in for one heck of a show. So let's go ahead and give away our first coupon code. No better time than the present to start giving away some prizes. So what I'm going to ask you folks to do is take out your Printify accounts and click on the left-hand side where it says Wallet, go down to where it says Reward Center and find the coupon section. And prepare to enter today's first coupon code. Now, remember folks, when you type it in, you're not going to see bells and whistles saying, congratulations, you won. You're either going to get that 15 bucks placed directly into your account, or you're going to see a notice that says this coupon doesn't exist, because we only made 3 of them. So, but don't worry, you're going to have plenty of chances to win a little bit later. So, without further ado,
And let us know in the chat if you win so we can celebrate you.
Girl Boss, spelled just like this with dollar signs, in celebration of ladies, of the women of this industry, in anticipation of International Women's Day. Yes, and do let us know in the chat so we can all celebrate. But for now, on with the show. Let's go ahead and cover the latest breaking news in the world of print on demand. And what I love about this time of year is so many companies and resources are putting out their 2024 recaps and predictions for the new year. And I want to highlight 2 of them for you right now. The first one comes from Etsy, who shared their Q4 2024 report with us. And we'll pop that link into the chat. And also, all the links that we share, we'll be able to find in the episode description as well. So please feel free to explore a little bit further. But there's one aspect of this that I really wanted to highlight on Etsy's earnings report from Q4 of last year, and that's this personalization aspect. Now, 1 in 3 shoppers who visit Etsy are looking for personalized products, and fully 1/3 of Etsy's 2024 gross merchandise sales were customized items, just highlighting the explosion in this aspect of the industry. And our response to that here at Printify was to come up with a streamlined, more intuitive way for you folks out there to fulfill these personalized products. And we're going to pop in a link to an article, a Help Center article with a very helpful video, one of Leah's most popular, one of my favorite videos that you've ever done, that explains this process and how you can take advantage of this with Etsy. But for those of you that are selling on other sales channels, don't worry. We're gonna roll out this personalization on other sales channels throughout the year, so stay tuned. But we had to start somewhere, so we started with our folks on Etsy.
I imagine, too, it's becoming so popular on Etsy. I imagine other sales channels, marketplaces will start to follow suit and kind of hop on that personalization trend. So it's a good place to start now, kind of practice that if you haven't done personalized items before.
That's right. Moving right along, folks. OpenPR.com put out their POD rewind and predictions for the current year. And a couple things I just wanted to highlight from this report for you was, of course, 2024 was dominated by a lot of companies coming together, most notably Printify and Printful, as well as some others in the space, just signifying that this is a normal process in the development stage of our industry. So everything is proceeding as normal. And this is all just done so that they can provide a much better experience for merchants like you. Additionally, TikTok Shop managed to rake in $32.6 billion this year in revenue. And I gotta say, at least 90% of that has to come from Printify merchants. So this is an absolutely wonderful number, and we're really only scratching the surface on this.
Oh, yeah, it's just the start of it.
Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if this number doubles this year. So it represents a great opportunity for you folks out there. And then a little bit about the moves that have been happening in some of the big players in the space with Shopify and Etsy. I encourage you to investigate further. But what's most interesting is their predictions for the new year. And no surprise here, it's all about AI and automation as a tool to help you you folks streamline your operations and increase your profits in the next year. It's a very interesting read, so I encourage you to check that out.
You know, a lot of this news, too, that we're sharing right now, it's kind of a summary of everything we've shared before, all consolidated into one little place. And it just goes to show that we're still at the beginning. It's growing. The industry is only getting bigger. And this just proves that.
Exactly. And then our final story today is we're going to pop this article into the chat as well. But they've just come out with a little bit of help from our friends over there at Printful. They've just announced the best states ranked, and the worst states actually, to start an online business. So if you're curious where your state ranks, go ahead and check that out. Now.
I actually am curious too, like before you click into the link, what are your guesses in the chat for the #1 state? But this blog, it was very interesting as well. It wasn't just kind of a subjective ranking. You know, they actually looked at data. They looked at factors like cost of living in the state, the work-life balance, the tech infrastructure, how fast is the internet there, and of course, you know, tax rates and those kinds of things.
Exactly. So let's
what are our guesses here?
Let's check that chat, see if anybody's guessing which state is on the top. I'll announce that here in just a second. I'm just kind of curious what everyone's guess is. Are they coming in yet?
I think mine is lagging a little bit. I'm a little behind here.
Well, I'm not going to keep you in suspense. Congratulations to you folks living in Virginia. Your state is ranked #1 in terms of starting an online business. And this is because of internet connectivity and the availability of co-working spaces and things like that. So congratulations to Virginia. Isn't their slogan Virginia's for lovers? I think it is.
I have no idea.
In
Someone
any
fact
case,
check us.
let's keep this show rolling. And I wanted to shift gears a little bit and talk about trending products. Now, what I've done here is I've sort of filtered out the tried and true bestsellers that are always at the top of the list. T-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, things like that. And I'm looking for the outliers in terms of products that have been rising in the charts. And not a lot of changes from from our last episode. We still have car magnets and bumper stickers and desk mats and things like that. Hand towels. That was the surprise of last episode. But this episode's surprise is custom buttons. Okay, so what's your take on that?
You know, I'm not sure. I was looking into it a little bit, and I actually did see on eRank that custom buttons, the peak searches are happening right now, March and April, so something is going on there. I did find a listing that was only posted about a month ago, a little over a month ago. It's sold over 400 times already for custom buttons. So I'm kind of thinking this is a really good product for bulk orders. Think maybe for sports teams or school groups, or even, you know, we have a lot of like rally organizers or protest organizers, bulk buttons.
Exactly, and this is a great opportunity for you folks out there to offer a customizable option on a product. Because traditionally when you think of like personalized products, you think of the t-shirts and the sweatshirts and the mugs and things like that. But custom pin buttons are a great opportunity to take advantage of this growth in the industry. And technically, any product in our catalog can be a customized product. So it's all about capitalizing on the trends and recognizing the demands. And one way you can do that is by checking the data.
Let us know in the chat, and let others know in the chat as well if you sell any of these products in your shop, maybe kind of why they're selling for you, or if there's something we don't know of.
Exactly. Moving right along, let's go ahead and focus on what we need to keep an eye on in terms of upcoming sales dates. And we get this data from our e-commerce 2025 e-commerce sales guide that you can find in our a link in the chat as well as our description. And what's interesting is in this calendar that we provide you with a downloadable PDF calendars. We give you all those little interesting holidays in between that are a great opportunity for you to target for your customers if they apply to your particular niche. We've got Purim coming up in mid-March. There's, of course, St. Patrick's Day. That's probably the big one. International Happiness Day and National Puppy Day. Now, those are some of the more interesting ones, but if they pertain or apply to your particular target customer or niche, here's a great opportunity for you to reach out and have an excuse for a little marketing blast or some inspiration for some designs, at the very least, an opportunity for you to have that conversation with your customers.
About Purim, this is an interesting one, but a very good one because religious niches actually sell very, very well. They're very
Yes.
popular, and I would say they have a very dedicated and loyal customer base.
That is 100% true, Leah. Moving on, let's check out, let's give a shout out to our friends over there at eRank and see what's been trending on that site. Now, these are the most current trending data from the last 7 days on Etsy, and I just collected these for you here so that we can talk about what's like of the moment. And no surprise, you've got your gift for her, you've got your wall art, you've got your home decor, but hats. This is the first appearance of the word hats in the trend report this year. So that just signifies we're all headed that direction. Like, no more beanies, we're getting out of the summer and we're moving on to the hats, which is a great opportunity for us to just do a little self-plug for our embroidery that we've relaunched not too long ago, that we are in the process of expanding. We're still offering, we just offered some more embroidery colors. We're still offering free digitized designs. And it's a wonderful opportunity for you to offer some next level high quality products to your customers. Because one thing I like about it is the difference in tactile feel of an embroidered product versus a standard print product, which is excellent for hats. Leah, you have no idea how much business I've missed out on with working with our biggest customers when we didn't have embroidered hats.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we have them, and you can take advantage of them. So, and it's trending on eRank, on Etsy right now. So do yourself a favor and check it out. And also personalized clothing gift, but engagement gift making its first appearance on the chart as well. Because wedding season, well, that's certainly a thing that is coming up. We saw that demonstrated with the fact that wall tapestries are trending, but there's got to be an engagement season too.
I think it's kind of all just like a big package deal. You know, you said wedding season is coming up. Bachelor parties are really common. Bridal parties. You know, it's kind of inevitable that these engagement parties, engagement gifts are also going to start trending.
There you go. Well, you've got the proof right in front of you. So I know you're out there wondering, hey, Martin, what's new with Printify? Well, good news. That's exactly what we're going to cover next. And we've got a couple things that we want to highlight for you. First off, you most likely have received an email about this in your inbox, so you can go ahead and double check your inbox, your spam folder, what have you, because TikTok Shop is pushing mandatory updates for some of their listings to comply with certain regulations. There's no action needed on your part. This is done mainly just sort of a heads up, but we do recommend that you just double check your listings, because this went into effect yesterday on March 5th. So just double check your listings, and if you have any questions or concerns, TikTok is advising you to reach out to their support. Okay, so just a heads up for you TikTokers out there. And then another time, I just wanted to highlight the Printify Choice upgrade again. We're going to be talking a lot about this over the next weeks and months because it's pretty exciting, because the tried and true method of fulfilling your products with Printify was dominated by offering you the freedom and flexibility to choose the right option for you from our network. Well, the Printify Choice upgrade and the Printify Choice network sort of automates the print provider selection process and sort of streamlines that for you. We're going to pop a link to a Help Center article that explains a little bit more, but it's part of our commitment to giving you, again, another layer of that freedom and flexibility to find that option that works for you. And there's a lot of advantages. Sort of, not only is it going to save you time and money, it also going to optimize for quality. It's going to optimize for price, saving you money in the long run, and ultimately going to be healthier for the planet and offer speedier deliveries, because we can have your products printed as close to your customer's shipping address as possible. So again, reducing those shipping times and reducing the carbon footprint overall.
Think of it kind of like putting your fulfillment process on autopilot almost, right? You simply click Printify Choice, start designing, and you're already going to get the best quality at the best price and the fastest delivery times.
And folks, I wish I could tell you like all the cool stuff we have planned for Printify Choice, and we're like this close to being able to announce it, but you're just going to have to wait. You're just going to have to wait a little bit longer. Join us for the next episode. Hopefully, we can give you all that cool information. But cool stuff is going to be happening with Printify Choice in 2025. Stay tuned. Okay. All right. Well, this is a wonderful opportunity to invite all of you out there watching either watching live or on replay to join me on the Sellers Club for my live Q&A sessions. Come sit down with me. Let's talk about what you want to talk about. I do sessions on Mondays and Wednesdays. That happens exclusively on the Sellers Club, and you can sign up today using code Launchpad2025 to get your first month free. And I mean, even after that, it's only $5. So, I mean, that's less than a cup of coffee. And that gives you access to the Printify Sellers Club network, exclusive mentorships, and courses, and access to a community of like-minded POD entrepreneurs looking to support each other, grow, and find success in this industry. So, sign up today, and I'll see you on Mondays and Wednesdays. But folks, let's go ahead and get back to the topic at hand, which is highlighting and celebrating the female voices in our industry, because it's something again that's near and dear to me, but it's all about shining a spotlight on the voices within the industry, particularly the ones that we've had an opportunity to collaborate with. We're going to have a chat with Mandy here in a little bit, highlights some other voices, but this is not only to exemplify excellence in their craft, but also they generously are willing to share their insights, and they offer valuable resources to our merchant community. So we now switch gears to Success Catapult with Leah. Leah, what do you have for us?
Yes, so I just want to start off by saying that women have made a significant impact within the POD landscape is a massive understatement. Whether you are just opening up your shop or already working from a beach in Bali, you're already working towards being an innovator, being an entrepreneur. So today in my segment, I'm just going to highlight some of these boss ladies who've already taken over this industry. They've become powerful leaders and mentors in the print-on-demand landscape. So first up, we are going to highlight Christina Umarez. She is a successful entrepreneur and content creator who transitioned from a full-time corporate marketing gig to print-on-demand in 2020, selling on Etsy. And now she is dedicating her time to educating others on building a profitable POD business. She does it through her platform, See You Online, both on YouTube and on TikTok. Next up, we have the amazing Cassie Johnson. You've most definitely heard of Cassie Johnson if you've even dipped your toes in print on demand. She is all over the place. She's an entrepreneur and content creator who lost her job during the pandemic, actually, but was able to transform that into a thriving print on demand Etsy business, generating over $525,000 in sales within just 2 years. Talk about just blowing it out of the water. She has also a mega popular YouTube channel that's been growing massively the past year. She shares so much good advice, valuable strategies that just kind of empower these aspiring entrepreneurs to achieve their own financial independence. Then, of course, we have Starla Moore. She is a seasoned Etsy expert, business coach, and a content creator with over a decade of experience in the e-commerce sphere. So she created the Handmade Alpha Academy, where she offers comprehensive training programs to help sellers build successful Etsy brands, whether that's print-on-demand products, digital products, or even handmade products. And of course, she shares all of her learnings, valuable insights on her YouTube channel, and she helps sellers optimize their businesses. And last but not least, we have Heather X Studio. Heather Marie is the founder of Heather X Studio, and she is a top 1% Etsy seller and a POD expert, of course. She launched her Etsy store in 2021 and earned $250,000 in revenue her first year, and then over the next 3 years, she's earned over $500,000. So now she teaches others how to build successful print-on-demand businesses. She has a wonderful Print-on-Demand Academy 3.0 course, and of course, she has all sorts of free resources like her POD crash course on her YouTube channel. She's on TikTok as well, and she's also kind of guiding these entrepreneurs to financial freedom. So all in all of these creators, plus a whole bunch more that we didn't even get to mentioning yet, They are bringing massive value to our merchant community, to you guys watching, by regularly giving us educational content for free. You know, they're producing tutorials, webinars, and video after video, just kind of demystifying those more complex aspects of print on demand. And so they're also sharing their personal experiences. They're giving mentorship and inspiration. You know, all of their successes, their challenges, everything that they've learned, they're sharing in a way that is both relatable to you as a new seller or even a seasoned seller. And of course, they're providing value just through community engagement. They have active participation in all sorts of forums, social media groups, live Q&A sessions, and so just fostering this sense of community and encouraging collaboration and continuous learning with like-minded people. And so one of the most remarkable aspects of all of these influencers, though, is their commitment to accessibility. This is kind of a key point for us. They offer a ton of information all for free, using their platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok to reach a global audience. And so all of this free access to knowledge, it really does empower anybody and everybody from all sorts of different backgrounds to really kickstart their POD journeys and become confident entrepreneurs.
Yes, that is right, and we will put links to all of these, not only in the to all of these online voices, not only in our chat, but you can also find them in the description below. And it's all about finding that voice out there that speaks to you and speaks the language that you like. And I don't mean the language like English or Spanish, but communicates in a way that makes sense to you, because each one of these wonderful people have their own communication styles. They may communicate on a platform that you're more familiar with, like if you prefer TikTok over Instagram or what have you. It's just important to search out these voices. And again, most of this information is free. And then when it makes sense, then and you want to go all in, then it makes sense to get one of their paid courses. But I just want to do a quick shout out to a few more before we get to our interview portion with the wonderful Mandy Dobosenski. So a quick shout out to, according to Nicole, Adeline Zook, Allison Ramirez, Amy TV, Anastasia Blogger, Boss from Home Mama, Bougie Barbie, Business Girl, Catherine Elaine, Chidera Peters, Dana Plays, Edith Cuevas, Eleanor Oxa, Hannah Ebling, Insight by Jess, Jenny from the shop, shout out to Jenny, Kate Sivilen, USA, and Catnip Studios. All of these, this is just done as a point to let you know that there's plenty of options out there for you. Search out the voice that speaks closest to you, okay? But before we say hello to our guest, Mandy, I think it's time we sort of put the brakes on and give away a little bit more money, okay?
And before we show the code, though, we did have a winner last time. We had Annette Finley, I saw in the chat, won, so congratulations.
Congratulations, Annette Finley. But Annette, you have another chance to put another $15 into your Printify account. So I'm going to ask you folks to take out your accounts, click on the left-hand side where it says Wallet, go down to where it says Reward Center, and click on the coupon section. Because today's second coupon code is Mandy for the win. All one word spelled just like this, Mandy for the win. And remember, you'll either get that $15 credit or it'll say this coupon code doesn't exist because, well, you were just a little bit too late with your typing. And no worries, we'll have one more opportunity for you to win a little bit later. But now I would like to welcome Mandy Dobosenski. Chances are, if you have been in this involved in this industry at any level, you've come across the wonderful Mandy Dobosenski. She's been our first returning champion to the Clicks to Riches show and making her second appearance. She was on our Amplified big show that we had here back in September, and we just absolutely love Mandy here on the show. So Mandy, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show. How you doing today?
Thanks so much for having me. It's great. I'm buried under a foot of snow here in Minnesota, but other than that, it's lovely.
Well, that sounds like summer. Only a foot of snow, Minnesota. So we're just glad you could take some time out from shoveling your driveway and join us on the show. But I just want to start out by asking you a little bit of an icebreaker question, and you folks out there can play at home. Give us the answer in the chat, or at least your best guess at the answer. So, Mandy, if you're ready, are you ready for our trivia question?
Fire away.
Okay, so in celebration of International Women's Day, in what year was the first International Women's Day celebrated? Was it 1886, 1911, 1951, or 1988? Now, before you answer, I'm going to read it one more time and give our folks at home the opportunity to put their answers into the chat. Was it 1886? Was it 1911, or 1951, or 1988? Okay, are there any answers coming in, Leah?
Slowly.
Okay. Well, your opportunity to find out if you were right or not will come exactly after we hear from Mandy. So, Mandy, what is your answer?
Oh gosh, do I get to phone a friend?
No, you do not. You do not get to Google. You have to rely on your instincts on this one.
Let's go with 1988. That sounds like a good year.
Oh, that is a good guess, but unfortunately, that is not correct. It's actually been around for over 100 years. It started in 1911. Okay,
wow.
So there we go. We've been celebrating women on International Women's Day since 1911. So congratulations to you folks out there that got it correct. But if you didn't get it right, hey, no problem. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So, Mandy, I've just got a couple questions for you. Again, thank you for joining us on the show. But can you tell us what inspired you to start your journey with POD?
So my journey has sometimes felt a little bit different because I was already running a handmade business full time. And so I had already left my corporate HR world back in 2021, took that leap into entrepreneurship to run a business that I had originally started in 2017. So I started with print on demand in 2022. I was primarily looking for an alternative creative outlet outside of, my handmade business that took up a lot of my time. And, to be perfectly honest, I think part of me was also a little worried that I would eventually burn out from just the physical nature of making and fulfilling everything myself. So the idea of a potential extra stream of income that could also help us, pay down some debts and other things that we had at the time sounded just kind of like a cherry on top. Before landing with Print on Demand, I tried all sorts of other things, again, kind of along those creative lines, digital products, Amazon KDP. But what I really discovered in that process and kind of learned about myself is that I'm someone who loves creating like tangible things. So having an actual like physical product-based business. And I also discovered in that process that making more inventory and taking on more inventory and more fulfillment was not going to be the right answer at all. Sounded like a good idea at the time, was not the right answer. So that's where print on demand ultimately kind of came from, and what I call freedom from fulfillment really came into play. I was, like many people, hooked into the TikTok algorithm at the time and all of the videos explaining how to do it, and literally just became completely obsessed with this business model.
Oh, a true side hustler at heart. That's something I can totally identify with. Mandy, you and I are simpatico on that. But I love your tagline, freedom from fulfillment. Can you take us through exactly what that means?
Yeah, so like I said, my handmade business was already highly successful at that point, but doing production and fulfillment of anything yourself is extremely time consuming, it's labor intensive, and it's expensive. I loved it, but it's a deep commitment. And so, at that point, growing that business, I didn't have a desire to hire people into my handmade business or outsource production. And with products like mine, that would have had to have been the next step if I wanted to keep scaling and bringing in more income into my household and building that business further. So instead, I pivoted. And so with print on demand, I can sell as many products as I want and never have to touch a single thing. And so, a great example of this is that I've had viral moments in both of my businesses, and the fundamental differences in each of those experiences is remarkable. after a viral moment with my handmade business, I literally vowed to never wanting to go viral again as a solo business owner. And it sounds weird, but trust me, once you've experienced that and had to do it yourself, I did not want to ever have to do that again. Money is great and all, but it's not everything. And that was a perfect example. But a viral moment with print on demand I had last year, when it comes to fulfillment, not a problem. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of other work like customers and occasional issues and follow up. But in terms of fulfillment and getting things in the hand of customers and being able to scale in a different way, it's like a night and day difference. And so for me, that is the true power of freedom from fulfillment, because it's also the freedom to scale and be able to bring in, again, more income into our household without having to scale a business that was no longer, in a place where it was scalable. And so ultimately, by not having to worry about fulfillment or inventory, I was able to grow multiple streams of income. And I was even able to retire my husband from his IT job to help me and offset some of the work. So for me, I always say that my handmade business got me to my full-time entrepreneurship role and opened that door for me. But freedom from fulfillment and the addition of print on demand is what keeps that door open. I will also say that I'm somewhat of a poster child of, that multi-passionate entrepreneur. And so I like that I get to do more than one thing. I'm not, stuck in just one place or doing one thing. And so I'm now to the point where I still do some work with my handmade business. I've scaled it back, scaled back my product line so that I'm not having to spend as much time there. I like that I can have a balance of products that I'm still creating for customers that I've had for years on that side of things, while also getting to lean more fully into this other path of freedom from fulfillment that I'm just, again, completely obsessed with. Everyone chooses their own path, and some people do these, full time or do different things, but this is what's worked really well for me, and being in this, season of now middle-aged mom life, it's the perfect place to be.
What an inspirational and heartwarming story. Thanks for sharing, Mandy. I want to stick with this theme of freedom, though. Speaking of freedom, what kind of freedom does this industry offer to women in particular?
I think the big things that come to mind are freedom of time, freedom of opportunity, and freedom to, again, like I said, scale, all with the ability to really kind of choose your own adventure, if you will. And all of this, for me, it comes back to what print on demand offers, especially for women, is opportunity. The opportunity to create something of your own, even if you only have small pockets of time to work on it, whether you've got a 9 to 5 career or are a busy stay-at-home mom that can only make it happen during the nap time hustles. You have the opportunity to build income on your terms, the opportunity to turn your creativity into something that can actually pay the bills, or, as I always say, at least covers those target runs that start as just a few things, but always manage to turn into a full cart of items you didn't know you needed. I have a large percentage of women in my own community, many of whom are career women exploring a new path, lots of stay-at-home moms, women who are rarely traveling across the country, and women in retirement or nearing retirement who are looking for some extra supplemental income. There's just so much diversity in where women are at and how they are looking into, have print on demand support them in their financial pursuits. And for me, what they all have in common is that this business model allows women the ability to explore, again, building their own business without the headache of inventory, without the headache of packing materials, or like myself, a garage full of unsold products. They're building businesses that they would not perhaps have otherwise been able to do if they had to do it in the traditional way when we think of a product-based business. I think that's why I personally, as you can tell, get so passionate about it and truly love it, because I love that it creates the freedom to build out an entire product-based business that I personally love, as big or as small as you want it to be, from wherever you are, and make money while leaving the traditional barriers behind. And in all of this, what I really love is that at the end of the day, print on demand isn't just about selling products. It's a means to an end, but it's about building something that's yours. Running a business is about having, that vision for your future and being bold enough to chase it, right? Whether it's making an extra $500 a month for grocery bills or saving for a family vacation or scaling to six figures or beyond, if that's what you want to do, this business gives you those tools to make it happen without waiting for permission or following someone else's path and making someone else's dreams come true. You get to do that for yourself. You're in control of your time, your creativity, and your growth. I always say, we've all had those bad bosses. There's no boss in this other than yourself. Sometimes I grumble about my boss, but then it's like, it's me. I'm the boss. I'm the problem. But no boss, no inventory stress, just you, your creativity, and like I said, a world full of opportunity. It goes without saying that it's still a lot of work. I don't want anyone to ever have that misconception. But at the end of the day, the only limit is how far you're willing to go and the work you're willing to put in to truly make it happen. I'm not a millionaire by any means. That was never my goal, and it's not what I need. But I've achieved what I have just by doing print on demand, basically part-time. So I always tell people, if I could do that in a part-time capacity, so can you. And if you eventually want to put in a full-time level effort for it, well, just imagine, what kind of opportunities are there.
Yeah, and I want to get back to what you were saying about those numbers here in just a minute. But I wanted to highlight one thing that you said, because I think it really stands out and it's something worth repeating, is that you don't need anybody's permission to start and be successful in this business. And that's a message that I would really like to resonate, or at least stick out from what you were saying. But Mandy, if you don't mind, can we step in the Wayback Machine and go back to the beginning when you started in this business? Because I want to ask you a question that I just love asking successful people. Now, back in the beginning, can you tell me about some of the significant obstacles you had to overcome, some of the mistakes you made, and then how you managed to overcome all that?
Oh my gosh, so many. I fell into, it's the biggest one is, I fell into the common trap of shiny objects. Anyone in my group has heard me say that a million times. They know exactly what I mean, those dang shiny objects. The beauty of print on demand is also a double-edged sword. It's the sheer, the variety of products available, but that can also be kryptonite if you're not careful. I wanted to put my designs on all of the things, and I got super frustrated in the beginning because that, of course, as I now know, doesn't generally work, especially if you're a beginner and just starting out. And so I was designing and putting, my designs on things that I wanted. I was creating designs that I liked or that my mom liked, not necessarily what paying customers were actually wanting or where there was, more importantly, demand. So my first shop, Complete Transparency, was a total failure and had no real strategy. So I tried again after really digging in to figure out why it wasn't working and figuring out a different strategy and focusing on just one product and putting more emphasis on identifying what worked, what didn't, improving my designs, and then scaling out with additional products once I had mastered those other important things first. That's when I started to really make some headway. And so for anyone that listens to my new podcast, next Tuesday's episode, I'll actually take an even deeper dive. It's actually all about this. But I would say the other obstacle with this was that I'm not a graphic designer. So my designs for quite a while were pretty terrible. But the more I did it and practiced, the better I got. And I think it's important to understand that it's okay being a beginner. Nobody starts out as an expert. I guarantee you, none of the other lovely ladies that we talked about earlier started out as experts. None of us did. It's that willingness, though, to never stop learning and constantly improving along the way. That's what gets you there.
Definitely. I can't agree with you more. You'd be surprised how many merchants I have conversations with that sort of get over their skis and don't lay that foundation for their business first without defining their target customer, their target niche, identifying their particular needs and how you can address those with your products and your designs. And then how you can even identify a target customer and doing your competitor research and things like that. And then, and only then, can you point your business in the right direction. So it's a very powerful message, and I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Since your success, what sort of strategies or decisions that you have made that you believe was pivotal? That's not a word, is it? Pivotal in reaching your financial success.
I'd say there are a few key ones. One of them, kind of what you alluded to, is focus. And so for me, one niche at a time, one product at a time, and focusing on just one strategy, like zooming in, putting on the blinders, tuning out the noise. Right? We are in an age where we have access to so much information, which is great. But if you're not careful, it can also be super overwhelming. It's arguably the number one thing that I hear from other sellers and members of my community. If you're listening to 10 different people with 10 different strategies and trying to implement all of them, you're going to end up with a big old mess. And that was my first shop, right? That's exactly what I had. So for me, when I went to that next shop that went on to be my biggest, I focused because all those different strategies can and do work. It's not that any of them are wrong. It's that you can't do them all at the same time. And definitely not if you were constantly ping-ponging back and forth without giving any of it time to grow and provide data for your decision making. So one of the things is deciding on what you're focusing on and then committing to it. You might need to change down the road, and that's okay. So for my example, I had to resist the temptation to plaster my designs on everything and get laser focused on getting good and mastering that one thing at a time. So in my case, I committed to one single well-researched product. For me, it was sweatshirts that I started out with. And then I focused on one well-researched niche at a time, which I believe started out as different types of nurses. I committed to fully building them out with several intentional listings before moving on to the next. And again, gave myself permission to really ignore and start tuning out anything else that wasn't part of that strategy, even when it sometimes felt like I might be, missing out on, different things. And over time, I expanded out and added on additional products and niches. I consider that a general store now, but I did it with intention. And only after I felt more confident with my design process, with my SEO and optimization, and had proof in the form of also getting sales. I also started thinking less about my target audience as just a niche, but more about them as a customer identity. It's a nuance, but for me, thinking about them slightly differently made some difference there, as in, who are they? What's going to resonate with them? Is there special lingo or design elements that only they would really understand? What kind of gifts might someone buy for this person? I started, staying away from just generic trends, which was another big mistake I made early on, and focused on things that people get passionate about, right? Get excited about, that they connect with. And so instead of, the pretty patterns or the generic sayings, I focus on things that as humans we identify with. And so nowadays I pull typically from one of 5 big themes. It's typically hobbies, professions, life events or milestones, pet ownership, and personal passions. So think like faith, advocacy, awareness, things like that. And in most cases, if it's not falling within one of those things, it's not going to create as strong as a connection. So typically that's not the path that I go. And again, not that you can't be successful with any of those other strategies that talk about, trends and, different designs. It's that this was my focus and this was my strategy. And this was how I avoided chasing those, shiny generic trends that can fade a lot faster over time, and product businesses, right? Products need to either solve a problem or meet a desire. Connection is that psychological factor. Customers buy with emotion and that desire for the product, especially when you think of like t-shirts, right? We don't always actually need that. It's not necessarily solving a problem, but it's meeting, thinking about how can I meet that desire, and connect with them on how they feel about it. And, then the customer justifies it, right, with the logic. But it's that connection is when they buy with that emotion. And so that connection is what's making someone, scrolling on Etsy stop and go, oh my gosh, I have to have this, or oh my gosh, this is so my brother John. This is, what allows even simple text-based designs to do really well on places like Etsy, myself included, so that was a big part of that. I'd say another, strategy in this was building habits that lead to success, not overnight, but that compound over time. So researching consistently, discovery scrolling consistently, and this is a phrase that a term that I use when it's actually, staying in touch basically with what's selling and where there's demand. So I think of it as discovering these things, listing consistently. I set a listing goal so that I could work towards, again, something tangible and within my control. And then along the way, it's paying attention to the data. This is something that I did very differently in my main shop, the one that blew up, compared to my original very failed shop. I paid attention to not only the market and search data for clues of what to create, but then also my own shop data as I got it with the more I listed. So, if a design or a product or a niche is working, I doubled down on it and kept making more of it. And if something isn't working, you keep learning and you adjust. And so, out of all of this, one of the biggest pieces of advice that, I can ever give to someone is to never stop developing not only your skills, but also your mindset as an entrepreneur. I've been starting and stopping businesses since 2011, right? Side hustler at heart. But in all of this, and even just looking back in all of that, not just print on demand, I tend to think of entrepreneurship as 10% skill, but like 90% mindset. You can learn skills, you can get better at designing, you can get better at SEO, and you can get better at marketing. But if your mindset isn't in the right place, if you let frustration or self-doubt win, that's where you get stuck. And so we have to be able to push through those moments of frustration and setbacks as part of our strategy in order to stick with something long enough to actually get good at it. We have to recognize what we have control over and what we don't. We have to remember that while we may not always have all of the answers, all of the resources, we can develop resourcefulness and curiosity when we hit those roadblocks or setbacks. I'm a firm believer that everything is figure outable. The beginning of starting a business is shiny and new and exciting. And I know that's why a lot of people are here, right? And the success you eventually reach is a great motivator. It's incredible. But that messy middle is where we spend most of our time. So it's important, again, as part of that strategy, to really work on that mindset piece of it as well. And so, I actually launched a new podcast recently called Thrive Anyway to be able to talk about exactly that, because I think it's just that important, but not talked about nearly enough as part of that journey of achieving, not just success, but sustainable success, and to keep coming back to your business day after day.
Wonderful. Truer words have never been spoken, Mandy. I love that message. And I hope you folks out there that are starting your journey were paying attention, because one of the biggest mistakes I see people making in the beginning is trying to do too much too soon and not taking the time to get good at the basics. So very powerful message, Mandy. And I think we have time for one more question before we get to the Q&A portion of today's discussion. And just a quick reminder that if you do have some questions for Mandy or any of the topics that we've covered today, put those into the chat right away. way, and our moderator, Talish, will go ahead and collect those, and we'll address those in just a second. But Mandy, I want to talk about numbers. So because reaching financial milestones is pretty cool. Are there any sort of income achievements that you have achieved that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, definitely. So numbers are always part of the story, right? They're what motivated me and got me excited in the beginning. So, some of my own exciting, vanity metrics, if you will, are, I reached 100K revenue in less than 10 months when I first started, when I shifted my strategies with this, that newer shop that I pivoted to. Once I changed my strategy and figured out what works, I had kind of what I alluded to earlier, a viral moment last year where I reached almost 100K in a single month, though, with my single highest ever day being 430 orders in one day, which again would have broken me had these been something that I had to fulfill myself, right? I've reached the top 1% status on Etsy, and I will break 500K in revenue this year. So that's less than 3 years if you're following the math. And while, yes, only a portion of that is profit, the same thing is true for my handmade business, right? And I got to this level with print on demand way faster than I ever did with my handmade business because of this just being a much more efficient and scalable business. But for me, the things outside of money are that I get to help so many other people find their own joy and success with print on demand because of what it's allowed me to do. I get to see other people in my community reach 100K and 300K in their businesses, their first 100 sales, their first 1,000 sales. I get to do what I love every single day by running a product-based business that isn't going to run me into the ground. And I get invited onto platforms like this to share my story and inspire and encourage others much in the way that I was in the beginning to help others choose their own path and build something that they're proud of. And for me, kind of at the end of the day, when I think looking back, in my family, I'm now the breadwinner in my household by choice. And not enough women get to say that. I get to do all these different things. And I built something with my own two hands. And as a woman and as a mom, that's kind of a really cool and empowering thing to be able to say. So, it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears along the way, but it's definitely something that I'm really proud of.
That's a beautiful story, Mandy. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it, and I know our audience out there appreciates it as well. And I'll tell you what, at 500K, next time we're hanging out, you're paying for dinner, all right?
You just invite me back to Latvia and I'll pick up the bill for you.
No problem. All right. Well, now, since the theme of our show is finding those voices out there that our audience can learn from, how can they join the Mandy community?
So certainly I have my YouTube channel, Simply POD with Mandy. I also have my own private community and mentorship group called Simply Thrive. And so that can be found through my website, simplypodmandy.com. And as a special treat for listeners today, if anyone's interested or curious about it, I'm including a 15% off coupon just for Printify listeners for this. If you decide to join and be part of that or want to check out more. But we are all about, in my corner of the world, we focus on simplicity and just being very encouraging and helping people make progress and cheering each other on along the way. We do a lot of live calls every month, talk about, trends and what to sell and things like that. So it's really a beautiful community, and I'm so proud of everyone that's in there. It's just an amazing group of humans. And so we'll make sure we have that information in there for you, again, if anyone's interested. But otherwise, always tons of free content. Again, on my YouTube channel, I have a brand new podcast called Thrive Anyway on all the major podcast channels, as well as my YouTube channel. You can find it there too. So hopefully you will be able to check that out.
That's great. However you prefer to consume your media, you can certainly connect with Mandy and be part of her community. If you wanted to sign up to as part of Mandy's community, use promo code Printify, and we'll have all this information not only in our chat but also in the video description as well. Thank you again, Mandy. But let's go ahead and take some questions from our audience. Leah, what do you have for us?
Yes, we've got quite a few good questions today. So the first one, Linda Blatchford asks, what's the benefit of one product at a time? I do Jewish holiday table linens and want to offer napkins, aprons, and matching items.
I'd say, the whole theory behind one product at a time is getting really good at designing it, right? When you think of print on demand, anytime you start adding on more products, especially if they are coming from different providers, you've got to think about, different pricing levels. You've got to make sure you've got each individual product priced correctly and competitively. You've got to do research for each of those to make sure that they're going to land with the audience. There's different shipping profiles, and so you've got to make sure that you're setting all those, different nuances up. So for me, part of my strategy is keeping it simple and reducing overwhelm. That's like two of the number one things for me that's always been kind of embedded within my strategy is kind of funneling it down, getting really good at the basics, starting there to reduce that overwhelm. And again, really focusing on getting good at that one product, the design process, the shipping process, reaching customers, validating that customers are ready and willing and are buying those products within that niche. And then as you, again, as soon as you start to see that interest, absolutely double down on it. So if you've got, table linens doing well and you can take that design to something else that's going to be similar and appeal to a similar customer, absolutely go for it. I think of that strategy, you look at what's selling. Same thing with apparel. If you've got a design that's selling on a t-shirt, put it on a sweatshirt. If it's still selling on that, then explore, with something giftable like a mug or a tote. Work well for that design that's now proven as well. Same thing, on kind of that niche customer identity side of things. If you are exploring a few different niches and you notice that one is really taking off, double down on that, make more products and designs for them. So it's really, that whole concept of one product is really about, especially as newer sellers, getting good at the process, getting comfortable with it, and, finding that path where you do have something that's working and that you can then start scaling and building out from there. So that's kind of where that concept comes from.
Right, because at the end of the day, especially if you're just starting, you got to decide what that flagship product is going to be. Like, what are you getting in this business to sell? You get really good at that, it's going to be so much easier to branch off thereafter. So thank you very much for that. Leah, what else do we have?
We have another question for Mandy from Rise Daily. Where do you sell? Etsy mostly, or do you sell on Shopify as well?
Yes. So for print on demand, I've pretty much always done Etsy. I've dabbled a little bit with Shopify. My handmade business is entirely on Shopify. And so I'm very familiar with that. But again, the beauty of print on demand and, especially on the Etsy side of things, again, at least for me, was that I didn't have to do some of all those other things that I've done with my handmade business. So with Etsy, I don't, my shop's there. I don't do social media. I don't drive, I'm not driving traffic there. I'm not, doing anything like that. I'm just getting really good at selling on Etsy, and it's doing the work for me. And it's just continuing to sell once I got that momentum there. And so that's why I really enjoyed that. I certainly think that for those who are wanting to really build a livelihood around their print on demand, have that be their focus, much like with my handmade business, absolutely the benefit of getting started with Etsy, using that as almost like a good testing ground to experiment, to leverage that marketplace, to do some of that research, figure out what's selling and what people like and which product is working, and then take the good stuff when you're ready to branch out and diversify and have another stream of income, and then build out a Shopify where you can still leverage that traffic that's already going to Etsy and built in on Etsy, you can still leverage that traffic while still building out a Shopify down the road if that's where you choose to. And then you know what's really working. And you can have, what I would say is your best stuff on Shopify if you choose to start branching out, which again, if you plan on building around this and having, a bigger brand would definitely be what I would recommend. Again, once you've kind of got that stability and feel good about where things are at with an Etsy shop.
Okay, wonderful. And I think we have time for 2 more quick questions.
Yes, a question from T-Shirt Wonderful. What's a good number of products for each niche?
The $1 million question. So I think, again, this is one of those where there's a million strategies out there. Do you have to have 1,000? No. What I would say though is that for me, I had a fair amount of volume. So when I first started my print on demand, that shop, I was leading into Q4 of that year. So I set a really aggressive listing goal, and I ended up having about 700 total listings by the time I got into Q4 that year. And so I had probably half a dozen or so niches, well, probably more than that if you factor in sub niches. And so for me, it was about that iteration, not just volume for the sake of volume. I always go back to I'm listing and I'm setting listing goals to stay consistent and to learn and to get data. That volume of listings, so I typically say if you're starting out with a niche and building from the ground up, get a good 15 to 20 different listings in there before moving on to the next one and exploring the next one, because then you can start to get data from those initial listings while still creating and being consistent. But that gives you enough, again, to get some data, test it. But then from there, like I said, that iterative process, it's not just make a bunch of listings and just throwing it, spaghetti at a wall. I'm still researching those designs, I'm researching those customer identities, and I'm putting in the best effort that I can in those, but it's also to iterate. It took me a lot of really bad listings, right, in the beginning, and a lot of really terrible designs that I thought were fantastic. Not a one sold. But the thing is, I can tell you that, but once you experience it and you go through that process and you go through the motions of creating, practicing, learning, every time you create another design and another listing, it's the next opportunity to learn. So it's less about total number and more so about that iterative process to build in some volume so that you can get some visibility and do some testing and see what works. But also with that, you're learning how to get better and better along the way. So like I said, if you're looking for a number, I always recommend anytime you're building out a niche, if you're going for a general shop, get at least a solid 15 to 20. Ideally, I had probably closer to 30 to 40. And then, like I said, you can lean in from there based on what the data is telling you. So if you look at, my shop today, I still have some of those niches that I had some, original batch of designs, but they didn't really sell as well. So some of them are still there. Some of them sell sporadically, but the ones that really took off, once I learned and saw what worked, those I then kept pushing out even further. So I have, multiple hundreds of listings in some of those very specific niches that I know are selling well, because not only am I then getting more visibility, but I get repeat customers from those because I'm constantly creating new and different things that bring them back to my shop and that I become more known for. And even the Etsy algorithm starts to pick up on some of those things too and can help get your shop with the right visibility too.
Yeah, that's one of those questions that can have like a million different answers depending on your philosophy and, from what angle you're
So
coming
true.
at it to. There's no one right answer. But yeah, just take it like this, folks. You're going to learn so much from creating listing number 1 by the time you create listing number 20 or 30. And then by the time you get to listing 100, you're going to look back at who you were when you were just getting started, and you won't even be able to recognize yourself. You're going to learn so much just by doing. Okay, so we have time for one last question. Leah, what do we have?
Yes, Janos Borbely asks, how will the new customs duties affect us? I think we saw this one coming.
Yeah, go
I'll
ahead.
take it, yeah. So, of course, we have no control any of this situation, unfortunately, but we are keeping tabs very, very closely, and we don't have any immediate plans to raise our prices. You know, we want to keep you as profitable as possible, but we are monitoring the situation very, very closely.
That's right. We're working with our partners, and they're in turn working with their partners on down the supply chain. And yeah, like we said, no plans to raise prices yet. We're going to ride this out for the foreseeable future. And if we are going to develop some new pricing strategies, and we will definitely provide those to you with enough time and enough time for you to deal with these in a very timely manner. But yes, I think we did see this one coming. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mandy. I really appreciate you sharing your time with us. Our audience just experienced a ton of pure gold in terms of advice from you. So thank you very much for sharing your time with us. And we are going to go ahead and wrap up the show, but not before we give away our last coupon code. So ladies and gentlemen, get ready to win. Our third and final coupon code is coming right up. Once again, please get out your Printify account. Click on the left-hand side wallet, navigate to Reward Center, and click on Coupons. And get ready to enter the final coupon code of the day, ladies and gentlemen, and that is Women Leading the Way. This one's for you, ladies. Women Leading the Way, all one word, just like this. We can't make it too easy for you folks. Again, if you do win, let us know in the chat so we can all celebrate. But congratulations to all of our winners today. You will have one more chance to win here at the end of our show, and that will be coming up just directly. But first, I'd like to present to you our action plan. This is how you put to work all of the information that we provided you today to your ultimate benefit. And first of all, folks, no matter your background, no matter where you're coming from, you don't need anybody's permission to be part of this industry. It's wide open, it's welcoming, and so seek out those mentors, those voices out there that communicate in a way that resonates with you. And again, that's what makes this industry so awesome, is that there's so much information out there for you to take a hold of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's so much just free information,
Yes.
free resources that you can access, whether it's through one of our influencers and creators on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or whether through it's our Sellers Club or our own Facebook Rockstars group. You know, in the beginning, it's really good to conserve your funds a little bit, starting out, you know, explore this massive amount of free information, courses, resources, handouts, guides, everything. Really nail that, and then you can start going to more experienced
Exactly.
resources.
There's going to be a time and place for all that, but in the beginning, do yourself a favor and just check all that stuff out, because you could live 10 lifetimes and not consume it all. Okay? And consider paying it forward, folks, because once you reach a certain level of success, you might want to consider becoming a voice in the industry, just like our guest Mandy, and share that knowledge and support the next round of entrepreneurs that are coming up who are in a position just like you were. Okay, all right, folks. Well, thank you very much. I would like to leave you with a little bit of inspiration, and I've been waiting to present this one to you guys because I absolutely love this story. Now, this is all about April Showers, aka Afro Unicorn, and she is the first. She made history by being the first Black woman-owned business to have a licensed character brand in major retail stores. And that journey started right here in print on demand. Her success on print on demand caught the eye of major retailers, and now you can find her products in Walmart, in Target, and Kohl's, and like even CVS, if you can imagine it. So next time you are walking the aisles of those stores, keep an eye out for her trademarked rainbow unicorn, and just know that her journey started right here. So we're going to put a link to the to her inspirational story into our chat. It's also in the description below. And just a big shout out to April, because she's one of my favorite merchants that we have here, and a very inspirational story that started right here at Printify. But one more invite to you for you folks. Come join me on my live Q&A sessions on the Sellers Club. Let's talk about the issues and topics that we covered today, or anything you want to talk about, because I want to talk about the things that you do. Whatever roadblocks you are experiencing, come join me, and I will do everything I can to play a small role in your success. And that's exclusively on the Sellers Club. Sign up today using code Launchpad 2025, and get your first month free. And even after that, it's only $5. So for that low price, you get access to mentorships, groups, and courses, all designed to help you become successful in this industry. So that's Mondays and Wednesdays. Join me for my live Q&A sessions from my home studio. And again, let's talk about what you want to talk about. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I promised you one last chance to win some prizes. Now is your chance. We're going to pop a link to our post-show survey. Go ahead and click on that. Fill out the survey, and 3 of you will be selected at random to win our grand prize of $50 of Printify sales credit and an awesome Clicks to Riches t-shirt, just like the one Leah and I are wearing. Be the first one on your block to sport the t-shirt and make all of your neighbors jealous. And I'll be reaching out to you winners personally, so fill that out, and we will choose 3 of you at random to be winners. But ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of today's episode. And wow, what a powerful, jam-packed episode this was. I really hope you got something out of it. Mandy, do you have any last words for our audience?
I think the biggest thing is, remember that even if there are days where you want to burn it all down, if you can just give yourself permission, take breaks when you need to, reconnect with your why. Remind yourself that if you do come across hard days, that they're temporary, and that if you stay with it, if you can commit to the process, keep learning, and trust yourself that you can figure things out, I promise that you will make progress and you can find your own path to success.
Excellent, and well spoken. Leah, how about any last words for our audience?
Yes, I just want to say, for those of you who are maybe beginners and you're not so confident in either starting print on demand or being an entrepreneur, or maybe your design skills, join one of these communities, whether it's through our influencers, through Mandy, through Printify. Kind of dip your toes in the water a little bit, see what it's about. You'll find that there are a lot of really inspiring merchants as well, people just like you who are looking for the same thing, that are there to support you, give you the advice that you need.
Excellent. All right. Well, that's all the time we have today for the Clicks to Riches show. Join us in 2 weeks, where our guest will be Jay D'Souza, and we'll be covering Etsy strategies for success in 2025. You're not going to want to miss it. So on behalf of myself, the staff, Leah, and Mandy, thank you very much for joining us. You are free to go on with the rest of your day, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.